Alrighty, what's going on, guys? Edward here, back with another video, and I wanted to break down here today a couple of trades I took with the team, starting on Nasdaq, and I ended up actually jumping on S&P 500 because it was looking definitely the cleanest. Since Nasdaq still had the direction, but it started acting a little choppy, and I was out on break even after hitting partials. So let me give you the entire setup here, and what was my bias for the day. Because to be honest, I was actually more bullish for today. Um, and however, understanding a couple of things. Let me go actually on. Hang on. Let me go on Nasdaq. I'm gonna go on the daily time frame. So I want to bring price up here down to this day. Right? That's how we close on Friday. Remember that Friday was a holiday, so we didn't move much. And we can see there was a one daily fair value gap right here, right? After this recent impulse, right? 2 days pushing up, taking an old high, right? After taking this high, that external liquidity, right? I knew it was somehow was going to go here, right? As in to look for internal liquidity. So I marked up that one, and then I was waiting, overnight. Once the market opened Sunday, you will see that it opened with a big bullish gap right here. Let me bring it down here. This is how it looks. That's the opening. Boom, right there. That's on Sunday, right? So as we immediately open with a huge, gigantic weekly opening gap, right? I explained my team, the one that I actually trade live, my students here, part of my community. So I explained them on Sunday why, and why I was actually expecting, to be honest, I was actually looking for price to go here overnight during Asian session, London session, and then perhaps form something to go long, right? So I was kind of hoping this weekly opening gap to hold price, but notice what it did overnight. If I quickly move forward, Asian session, we barely move, right? We did get in. We actually did get in, and is as you can see, the price actually formed divergence at the bottom right here. Nasdaq swept that low. S&P did not sweep the low, right? So we are forming divergence. When was that happening? At what time? I was actually around 4 a.m. in the morning, London time. So I'm not trading in that hour. I don't trade London. So I just needed to wait for New York, right? So I normally start watching sometimes at 7 a.m., 7:30, 7:40 a.m., probably 20 minutes before New York session opens. So you can see that it was, I believe it was somewhere there. It was somewhere right in this area when I was actually taking my buy. And that was probably a mistake, but who cares? At the end of the day, it was my first shot. I was entering, notice this, I was making my entry before New York session. I actually tried to trade New York session. So I went a little bit ahead and take the shot. But why did I take the shot? Because what I was expecting had actually formed. Overnight I was actually expecting this formation. So by the time I wake up in the morning, I see this recent displacement up, nice momentum right there. Look at here. I think this was also on. Yeah, notice on the 1 hour. Let me actually hide this for a second. Just have in mind, right? We're on top of this weekly opening gap. So I kind of want to use that as support, right? Now, the other indicator here I want to bring is this one right here. This indicator is actually free. And what this indicator does is basically just shows you right here the time frames and the higher time frames that you want to select, right? So you see, if I go to the 5 minute time frame right here, I can tell the indicator to show me the last 10 candles, 5 candles, from the 15 minute, the 1 hour, the 4 hour, and the daily. So I can see multiple time frames at once. I don't need to be shifting between time frames, all of that stuff, right? It takes time, right? So if you want to use it, right? What was I seeing at that point? Notice that by the time the price was giving this buy that I was interested in, that I was taking the buy, I was seeing on the 1 hour this change in the state. You see the change in the state of delivery here? Notice this 1 hour right there, candle closure. That is actually about here. Notice that big displacement, right? So I had a big displacement. Look at what's happening. I have, let's put things together. I have a change in the state after an SMT happening on a weekly opening gap, right? That I was kind of hoping to support price right there. I like the current formation right here. So I was like, okay, that looks fine. I want to see if we do go at least for this highs. So I took the shot. I didn't care. It was a few minutes for the New York session. So notice what happened right here. Price was trying to push a little bit, but notice what happened after it swept this recent liquidity. Notice S&P. Notice what happened right here on S&P. So price was already taking the Asian high. Notice this. This is the Asian high, London high, 5 in the morning. So New York session open, boom, manipulation right there. So it forms that SMT. Notice what happens. When prices start reversing on me, very aggressive, I close. So I cut losses, right? I know I'm probably dead in this trade. So I'm killing the trade. I'm closing that position right there. Boom. That's it. I'm closing. So from here on, notice that big move to the downside, right? So I was waiting, and then the price all of a sudden, well, this was actually the opening. So this happened pretty quick. Let's go back to the 5. This actually happened pretty quick. As soon as the 9:30, the stock exchange opened, price started pushing up, and it tapped this block right here. It was a little block. You can see the block because it changed the state on the 15 minute. So it tapped that, and it was stopping. When it's starting to reject, I decided to take the shot because I was now more interested in sales. I noticed that Nasdaq failed completely to take this Asian high, and S&P already did. So I take the shot, and because it got too volatile, I did enter, and I wanted to target this lows right there, but this was an important TP. So when the price hits TP, I put the stops to break even. Price came back to my break even again. It just gets me out of break even, and notice that price starts moving. So when I switched to S&P, I was seeing S&P so clear, just nice shift in the structure. You can see the price creates a high, low, higher high, lower low, right? So we got a change in the state of delivery and a market structure shift as soon as we sweep Asian and London, right? Just so clean. Look at this move, this aggressive, nice, clean little move right there. Price simply pulled back. I saw those two rejections right there, and when this candle started to form, I entered aggressively. I entered right there, place my stop loss above this high. Probably the safest would have been maybe above this breaker block right here, above this high, or this final high right there. That's probably too far. So I kind of wanted to get, since this was my last third shot, because if you look at it, I made one first shot, which I was stopped out. I called losses right there. And this one, I got out on break even, but at least I took just little partial. And then I took this one. That was my third shot of the day. It's 3. So I always try to set myself, and this is what I encourage my students to always set a maximum amount of trades. Don't over trade. In trading, less is actually more. Don't think that, if you make 10, 20, 40 trades, you're going to be making more. Okay? So don't do that. Don't over trade. I don't over trade, right? So with that, pretty much you can see here what price did. Let me switch to the 15-minute. And you can see pretty much that's what happened. So that was a quick move, and a lot easier, right? A lot cleaner. Nasdaq did struggle a lot. Look at this. It was going low, then it creating a very strong high, and then another low, and then a strong high again. So it was going down, but it was like struggling, like really struggling. S&P was more definitely bearish. Like it really sink right here. You know what I mean? So Nasdaq was more on a bullshit type of day. you know, it did ended up dropping anyways. So, anyways, after all these things right here, what do we have now? Because we have to prepare now for tomorrow. If you, by the way, if you're interested in joining my community, right? This is where I post everything, all my analysis, setups. I trade live with my students every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Okay, I go live either on Zoom or Discord. You can see me trade live. So if you want to be part of my team, just go ahead and visit my website, teamprofitsenglish.com, and you can see what it's all about, right? I mainly teach ICT concepts. So at this point, what is it that I am expecting here? Well, because the market got strongly bearish pretty much in the after this was 11:30, but that's when it started to drop a lot quicker. So we ended up closing below this bullish fair value gap right here. However, we sweep liquidity and we retrace back up. And I also see that when I go to the 4-hour time frame, we respected right here this 4-hour, or right? You see right there that we're bouncing off. We fail to close. I don't know what's going on right now with my computer. Kind of slow. Anyways, we failed. We had a failure right here to close below this low. And now I want to see what's going to happen during Asian session and London session to see if I have a good setup to buy tomorrow. Because I think we are actually in a good position. If I use my Fibonacci right here, we are in discount. We actually did pull back to discount. So that's a good, see, price at an impulse, taking liquidity, external liquidity, back down to internal liquidity, which is an imbalance. And now from here, this is going to be a good target, right? We have to make sure, right? Of course, everything is clear for tomorrow. And you see, this is one of the reasons also we dropped today. Tesla crashed today. Is having big problems right now with Elon Musk. But anyways, hope it makes sense. Again, if you want to be part of my team, just make sure to follow me on social media. Find the Telegram link below, my Instagram below. I am very active on histories right there, so you can see what I'm doing at the moment in the morning when I'm trading with my team. You can see it. And again, if you're interested in learning what I do, just go ahead and check it out, teamprofitsenglish.com. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take it easy.